Salutations, respected viewers. This video is about President Trump's recent conference with President Putin in Helsinki. Well, why did they choose Finland, a neutral country on the border of Russia? It's not a member of NATO. Since Finland was defeated by the Soviet Union towards the end of the Second World War, Finland has agreed not to join any military alliance. So Trump was fawning towards President Putin. Trump was outclassed at every stage. Putin speaks his native language fluently, which is more than can be said for Trump. Trump's speeches are totally lacking in cogency, and he appears to be a baby in international affairs, not knowing his arse from his elbow, but so stratospherically arrogant. He doesn't do any preparation. Do your homework. It's a bit like when he was in the United Kingdom recently. He revealed that he does not know that Scotland is in the United Kingdom. He brags that he's been to Scotland scores of times, that he's half Scottish, and he doesn't even know something that fundamental. It's jaw-dropping what an imbecile he is. So he always brags how tough he is, but he's never tough on Russia. Now, I don't want confrontation, definitely don't want a Third World War. If there could be a cordial relationship between the United States and the Russian Federation, that would be a good thing. But President Putin definitely dominated the room, which is a fantastic thing for Russia. But President Putin stands up for his country's national interests. He's well briefed. He lets his people know what's going on. He doesn't embarrass his country, whereas Trump is a disgrace. So there was some behind closed doors deal. What is this secret deal? Now, the way the United States does things is open government. I realise there are times when things are kept confidential for good reason, but this wouldn't be one of them. In such situations, the US president would always let the public know the bare bones of the deal. But here the public had been kept in the dark. Why was there this surreptitious negotiation? And now it's something to do with Syria and keeping Israel safe. I can hazard a guess. It would be the United States will pull her troops out of Syria. There are not many of them, and probably no more bombing raids, even if there are accusations of chemical attacks. And in return, the Iranians also pull out of Syria. Well, it's coming to endgame in Syria. Perhaps in 6 months' time, ISIS will not hold any more towns. They might launch the occasional bomb attack for the next couple of years. But as a major ground conflict, it seems that it's coming to an end. Now, it's anybody's guess. It could flare up again. They could get new shipments of arms. But I would imagine that's what it is, and that would keep the Israelis sweet because they're worried about Iranian troops massing their border, the Iranian military entering Syria because they want to help their ally Assad, but their ulterior motive they would be then in a position to attack Israel. So there's the other issue, the swirling rumours that the Russian government hacked the US election in 2016. So President Trump said he didn't see any reason why Russia would do it. The very next day, he retracted that. He doesn't know what the word "not" means. What a moron. He can't speak basic English. What a feeble excuse that is. He's flagrantly lying again. And then he seems to have walked back that one again. And even if his statement was supposed to be the way he claimed it later on, that he misspoke, it was a very feeble statement. What a wet fish of a statement. He's pathetic. Is the man senile? Perhaps that's the most charitable explanation. He had that mental health test from that naval officer in January to say that he's A-OK. But notably, Trump said which test he wanted to do so he could prep for it, presumably. The idea was to shore up his credibility and put paid to the rumours that he was losing his marbles. Now, as Commander-in-Chief, that US naval doctor who examined him is an admiral, and Trump could, of course, demote or dismiss him. So it was in this man's interests to tell his superior what his superior wanted to hear, and that's the way it tends to work in the military, people being very sycophantic and blindly obedient. Perhaps I'm being unfair, but I think there's ample sign that Trump is suffering early stages, senile dementia, perhaps Alzheimer's, as his father suffered before him, and yes, it is hereditary. So Trump couldn't even ask easy questions. They threw him softball questions. Remember when he was asked about Brexit a few days ago? He segued into talking about his golf courses. Nobody asked about your golf courses. There's a complete lack of substance. He's got a total seat-of-the-pants attitude to these international conferences and press conferences, not being briefed by experts. So he's self-obsessed. You always have to bring him back to himself because he's so egotistical. as evidenced by him naming all these towers in his own honour. The man is vanity incarnate. Now, you'd think that the Christian fundamentalists would find this distasteful, vanity being one of the 7 deadly sins, would want someone who's self-effacing. What happened to humility like meek and gentle Jesus? But coming back to the 2016 election, what would these hacking allegations amount to? The release of information? The United States is meant to be all about freedom of expression. No one's alleged that Russian agents arranged for bogus votes to be cast in the election, or indeed for valid votes to be disqualified, or for non-citizens to be somehow granted the franchise, or anything of that nature. It would simply be disclosing information, true information, from Hillary Clinton's emails. Now, one could point out, what about? The United States most certainly interfered in other countries' elections, not in recent decades, let's say as recently as the 60s in Chile, and other countries prior to that, in Italy shortly after the Second World War on a huge scale, illegally funding parties as well as releasing propaganda and blah, blah, blah. So what goes around comes around. You could say, well, America deserves it. Or as the old Latin American joke goes, why has there never been a coup d'etat in the United States? That's because Washington, D.C. is the only country without a US embassy, because the CIA runs these putsches from out of their embassy. With regard to Russia, the United States clearly wanted Yeltsin to win in 1996 presidential election in Russia. That was scarcely concealed. Did they help him in some wise by perhaps issuing loans to Russia right before the election? You could argue that they did. So that's that. So Trump has shown himself up yet again to be a complete fool, and yet, staggeringly, about 42% of Americans still approve of the way he's doing his job, embarrassing his country on the world stage. What a national disgrace. Someone who's just so risibly inarticulate, so ill-informed. I would say he's willfully ignorant, but no, I think he's just a plain ignoramus who doesn't know what he believes, contradicts himself from one day to the next, and doesn't keep his team informed. They can't make rational decisions. Now, he's all over the place on policy, so erratic. One of the few things he's consistent on is he's against free trade, that he doesn't like that system, likes things to be based on personal relations, likes authoritarian rulers, has disdain for democratic governments, really has no time for America's allies. So that's why I think he's a fool and not doing things well at all. Says he disbelieves his own intelligence agencies, then that he believes them the next day. So the man's got absolutely no credibility. President Putin, on the other hand, he's consistent. He's got some long-term objectives. He pursues those. He tries one strategy. He changes tack, changes back again as the situation presents itself. He's well-spoken, eloquent, all the rest of it. And in that wise, he reflects credit on his country, none of which can be said for Donald Trump.